Welcome to our lovely future humans who use mindful mindset, communication skills, and practices in your day to day life, whether free or paid content, subscriber or not. You get to be yourself because that means you are a self agent, which is a 5D human being. And this is the part of where first wave to reach 5D. It's 4D who didn't know we were already here. We know that well-being mindset and wellness are the wealthiest of riches. Why? Well, we talked a little bit about this in the 2 shorts that are out there on IHP Land on YouTube for now. We'll distribute it. I will elsewhere afterwards. The wealthiest thing you can build is mindset. It leads you to well-being and wellness because the brain keeps the not score, but the count of the body. So the brain deciphers what the body is coming up with. The body keeps a score, and that's why you want the body in connection. And so the 5D collective, we have the capacity to know that good intentions, like Sadhguru shares, are not enough. It takes the right action performed in the right way with the right consciousness, to produce the necessary results. So the right way, that actually is not something that I decide, but I do know that people who get their body in connection get out of the low frequency and the identifying of a childhood pain that will be a yucky self-righteous energy of low frequency individuals who just compete like prima donnas and prima whatever for the men would be cockfights. Okay, so when you have insecure egos, you're going to pretty much spot them because they have shame, they're miserable, they humiliate each other, they also do guilt, and that's the blame and evil bit. It's not evil in a way of Lucifer, though. Those stories are long gone for the intelligent mind, and the intelligent mind is an open heart, which is also body again of a person who is social. My nervous system is social with my species, and I know that the only reason I will still thank my body for having fear is because anxiety is actually the evolution of me being able to be hiding away from bears. Anger helps me. The appropriate anger is I'm an angry Christian Catholic, not a Buddhist. Somatic therapists have taught me about our body in its ventral vagal state, and I embody that knowledge. That's why I'm like, wow, integrated brain is awesome. Flow state, pretty much check. The people who don't obtain it, they say, I want a world where it's not about what feels right, what is right. And I'm going to dismantle everybody based on my envy and jealousy because they're not real. They're crying, and that's propaganda, and they're talking about each other as family and friends immediately, and that's not possible. That's the frequency of cynicism. We're going to look at different emotions and different, just the words of these feelings, emotions, and that's for my paid subscribers, because we started with anger, and I want us to also be able to have a nice fun time expanding when we meet cynics, because we're not changing them. It's not our body, not our business. And the adoptive child part is really just an emotionally immature person. Immature, they're not mature, so you just leave it alone. They really just want the floor, and if they don't like that you're not agreeing with them, you say, I don't enmesh. No, you don't say that. You just do, look, I say tomato, you say tomato. You have your subjective reality, I have mine. If you want to bring to me objective, then are you with the round earthers or the flat earthers? May I ask you? No evil, again, please. There's a forensic chronologist scale. They're all in his scale. They fit to a T, especially 7 to 14, not charming to the 5D collective. The first wave, we've been here. We're common sense. We're grounded in reality. We know our cherishable beliefs. Love you, God, can be falsifiable. It's really awesome to be an Akashic record reader, channeler, and downloader, and to let people know, look, I can do all of it for you, but let me let you know who's going to make the best of all of not only the spiritual toolkit during ascension days, but also the personal development, spiritual growth, and the mindset. Yes, do you own your sense of self? Do you have all your child parts in the forefront, meaning they don't come up and out of nowhere you just get into a mood swing that nobody needs to be taken care of? Okay, so when you have self-righteous, mystic, spiritual, mindful, living, loving not, they're not. The adopted child part, like the flat earthers, they want to be pat on the back. So when you have apathy, despair, hopeless, grief, regret, tragic, fear, anxiety, frightening, desire, disappointing, craving, anger, hate, antagonistic, yes, pride, not very good, but we can be proud of ourselves, but pride with the scorn, demanding, Okay, so those low frequencies, if you didn't know, there's this lovely levels of consciousness chart John Marks. So when you are full consciousness, you're at 1,000. I remember as I consistently raised to the feeling of having an enlightenment, and yes, the pure consciousness state is when you own the sense of self. Thanks, Dr. Daniel Siegel, for making it humanly relatable. So you don't have shame, I'm broken, the 1 to 3 year old. You don't have it's my fault, guilt, the 3-year-old. You don't have 11, 12-year-old fear, I cannot do this. And you don't have the teenager anger, it's unfair, 14, 15, 16-year-old. So those 4 child parts are nowhere in the lead. You're a grown-up version of yourself. And that's because even if you're in the adolescent brain, you still know how to say, hey, God, I don't see Lucifer or monsters, just cowards. I was 19, and the adolescent brain, you get out of it by the time you're 25. For the physical woman, physical man, meaning the brain of those, I don't remember what words are, but that's because, right now we just have so many people who don't want us to use any words, and so I'm going to do the just and this and that. 28, if I remember correctly, the physical man. So, like Seneca says, what the heart knows today, the head will understand tomorrow. That's if it has a brain that is integrated and a mind that is of the owner. And the mind wants the wealthiest thing of all, which is the mindset that leads you to wellness. That's the inner growth mindset. Hey, look, what's up? Not the self-righteous child pain that says, I'm the right one and they're an asshole. So, it's unfortunate business when that happens, because that is actually how it goes down. And I've seen people do this stuff. So your guides, yes, your intuition, values, nervous system, only if you have a body that's in connection, nervous system. Until that moment, the reality is you're not yet ready to be social. So you would not be a part of the well-being mindset because the inner growth isn't working yet. Because I've seen it. People who are envious, jealous, spiteful, again, they dismantle guru narratives, religious narratives, enlightenment. They dismantle by saying it's not real, but it's not. We can all, with curiosity, look at something. We're not dismantling it. We explore it and say, okay, all these pieces serve this. Wow, okay, so, we're going to create something new over here. That one might work still for some people, not for us. Okay, so that's where we have fun with it. The 5D collective, again, knows well-being, mindset, and wellness. They are the wealthiest of riches because it begins with you. So self-love then is expanded to all others, and being yourself is amazing, like this lovely crocodile spirit. Okay, so when you are in the full pure consciousness enlightenment and beyond frequency, we have resting, so your body is in connection. I know all about it. Waking up with an integrated brain means you're energized, the flow state. When I'm in the presence of others, I know how to differentiate. I recalibrate Maria consistently. My nervous system is shifting itself because I own the mind. And with the inner growth mindset, I've been leading. So I even stopped venting on my own. People didn't support because they said, you're human. I said, that's why I can do it. And because I'm human, that I can do it. No, but humans suffer. No, not the ones in physiological compassion, because I use my prefrontal cortex and I use my 2 frontal lobes. Then that's because my insula lights up because I'm not afraid of my body and I have the interoception. And then my amygdala alerted me to being in a room with people, and it's important to get up, energy and moving. Temporal junction, it supports me to remember what I've been through in the past and everything, which is actually great because as an Akashic record reader, tarot oracle card reader, channel and downloader, everything from my past lives comes through me. Everything from our past lives, as but I can't prove that part. But my point is temporal junction, everything's coming through, but I don't stop there. Because the people who like the Zen masters is, it's a laundry, nobody's enlightened, be aware, be aware. No. Sorry, Zen Master, you're using the temporal junction and relating to the past, to what's going on with the past, and just ruminating in negativity, low frequency. No, negative and positive exist, but we don't ruminate in it. We look, oh, look, there's the positive sides of self-righteousness when somebody's using it positively to grow. Oh, look, there's the dark sides and fearful ones and shameful ones who really just want to project the unhealthy shit all over the place. But it's okay because it's really only a tantrum for a moment. And they usually don't grow healthier by the minute because their body is not using good stress. It uses distress. It's unfortunate business what happens when you don't tend to your wellness. And so your mindset, you don't tend to well-being with the inner growth, and you stay with an inner and outer critic. And then you don't tell them to notice, oh look, do I need Dr. Amy Apigian or Pigian? Forget how to pronounce her name. Okay, so the wealthiest thing that we all can do and that we all have done is to build a mindset that leads us to wellness. And I get to continue doing it with you all, because you do daily practices for your day-to-day life. Unknowns, uncertainties, unexpecteds. Thank you for that confirmation. There's the 3 main modules of the inner growth mindset that actually begin with dealing with unknowns, uncertainties, unexpecteds. Second is from within. Third is going with the flow. And so the paid content for our, I point over here like you're seeing something over there, but that link is below. It's on Spotify or one of your favorite podcast platforms. Okay, so again, let me go back to our crocodile. Crocodile, wise, patient, a silent powerhouse. Resting, submerging, collecting energy, cooling off. Now your ventral vagal state, your body and its ventral energy is at ease. And that's how we navigate our mental and emotional day to day, and for physical too, unless there's an actual physical threat, then our body will. So the panic attacks, obviously, that's where I was working through them, but light body, rainbow body, expansion of your, as a mystic, if you know the spiritual expansion stuff. Let me not use all of your time with that, because I actually have plans for maybe doing a live. I wanted to do a couple of them, but I might have time for only one. Okay, so we have our lovely Sadhguru shared, what is past cannot be fixed. What is now can only be experienced. What is next can be created. I modified it a little bit with what is past cannot be fixed, but it can be processed, welcomed with growth, and forgiven for reintegration in one's own timing, because that's what happens when your past, which the inner child is experienced on, comes up. So people who are in our 5D collective, mystic, spiritual, mindful, living, loving, future humans, we're here. We know well-being is our mindset. That's what has us thinking and exploring feelings, and our wellness, that is our body, and getting it to be able to shift into the ventral vagal state. So that is the wealthiest of riches, because you get integrated, which makes you a safe haven, secure base to yourself. And it also allows you to be energized and to then bring your best foot forward always. And you're not selfish in the way of, I need to put the mask on myself because the CIA agent thinks everybody's selfish and holds secrets. No, they direct me to put the mask on. I'm so common sense that I know that if I do want to help somebody else, I hope and pray that my nervous system actually has the capacity in that blink of a second to put the mask on instead of freaking out and freeze or something like that. So hopefully my cowardice body will be able to do something to help the person next to me, which involves first and foremost putting the mask on. So any moron can continue to talk shit about the human species. This is how I feel about people who like to bring in selfish. Oh, let me try plugging your nose. So when someone's faith in humanity was broken, you see it, they all just do the same bullshit. There's no Lucifer, there's no evil in the way of what people want to blah, blah, blah. When they're dehumanizing brothers and sisters, they're not all nice. Nobody said they are, but you better bet that the smart ones are. Stable, mature, adaptive, rational, teachable. They're always nice. Otherwise, they're not smart. Yeah, so that's actually where I will allow you to know. I ask people to keep me in check because I have a sweet spot. It's called that I know that God doesn't make mistakes, and all my brothers and sisters, they all have the potential because they're all angels. So they all can love. So when I meet the assholes, I don't tell them they're an asshole. I'm an asshole too. I just don't make friends with unhealthy self-worth people because, I can love them from afar, and that's it. And that's because unhealthy self-worth people, they don't actually take any kind of ownership. They're backstabbers, liars, cowards, facades, self-preserving. In fact, only if you pat them on the back and praise them and then begin to do like this little cheerleading dance, it's really ridiculous. Believe me, I've seen it before. Like, yeah, I don't do this. What is this? I'm a very, very much... Hi, so I don't get motivated because you give me a thumbs up, thumbs down. I thought we were all just sharing who we are. You're not the authority over me. I'm a grown-up now, and my 3-year-old, she only comes up to remind my mother that she's not the authority over me, and my twin that, yes, I'm Maria. So I know what my 3-year-old angry little butthole, she's okay. Okay, great. So first wave, welcome aboard as I read to you. The first wave, again, to reach 5D. We've been here for a while, and we all know that well-being, mindset, and wellness are the wealthiest of riches because, again, mystic, spiritual, or mindful, you understand that which is a lot of good researchers from our past to our present have consistently proven the kingdom of God is within every one of you, which is why God doesn't make mistakes. Lucifer doesn't win, and he's not real. And the ones who want to keep making some monstrous stuff real, well, I got news. There's those of us who are going to say, stop dehumanizing our brothers and sisters. We know that they mistrust kindness more than they end up with those other people. But even if they mistrust kindness and they actually feel threatened by neutrality and positivity, it's not their fault. Their body learned it's unsafe to be with people because their own home was unsafe and their own body is unsafe to the point of where they're actually sometimes going to go in the direction of, thanks Dr. Amy for your great video. I got to watch a video there. She's being interviewed and she talked about the whole when your body starts attacking itself, or basically a lot more. And I'm like, okay, I need to watch this again because I think the fancy lady in her suit doesn't know what's going on in her body. It's dangerous to have no emotions. You can't physically have no emotions, but hey, I'm pretty sure you think that you can break down, dismantle. She said, I'll dismantle the modern day therapist because they're trying to imprison you. And I'm like, wow, with what? Your finger? Ooh, let me see how smart you are. So pseudo-intellectuals, by the way, I make fun of them because true intellectuals know what pseudo-intellectuals look like. I'm pseudoscience. That's why I know what true scientists look like. They're the ones who know 97% of what is out there is unavailable to all to be explored. And so they also believe in the experiential mindset and experimenting in general. So they know to continue seeking. And we have fun with it because that's what makes the difference between the love people and the shame fearful ones. Shame fearful ones hang out dismantling each other without building anything. We, on the other hand, when they approach us, we know what we're dealing with because we can see with 2 eyes and we have a prefrontal, and above all, our gut is really smart. So it's snap and done. If they're not a physical threat, we're going to have a good time. Meantime, they don't know what the fuck's going on. We do. And when you can hear a narrative, which is bullshit, you'll be like, okay, there's that personal part that they're not understanding. They're integrating in their data, but it's okay. I know how to sift through. Here's the data. Here's the story. Here's the objective based on the story, but here's the plain data that we can use with the bigger data and then help all humanity and therefore continue to expand and evolve. See? So intelligent minds, mental and emotional, otherwise it's not intelligent. Physical above all, because again, the body and connection. If you're not a body that is in the ventral vagal state, you don't know intimacy, kindness, or curiosity. Self-righteous egos don't know how to expand, and that's why they're on that other side of the coin. But again, fear and shame have always coexisted with love and not shame. Love and empowerment and enlightenment. And so when we see the shameful, fearful ones that have guilt, we try to say, look, you're imperfect and flawed like I am, but there's no reason for you to be so, this. And as they get into their angry little piss hole, that's when we just leave them alone. Okay, wow, really amazing share. Thank you so much. And they don't like that, but they'll leave it alone because at least they got gratified, they think, or they might lie to themselves. And at the end of the day, because the fearful ones, they don't do the wealthiest thing, which is build a well-being mindset, which means that we're all special. They want one where they're special all by themselves. They just deny that all of that happened, and then they just, build their own little island, and away they go. And then they don't take their children to hospitals, and they think they're more faithful than us. Us who believe in God and intelligence and know we're evolving, and science helps us when the sun goes out to get off the planet. So grounded in reality is 5D collective. Mystic, spiritual, mindful, living, loving. I'm going to have a good time as we actually make fun of everything that is not here. And then we also use the mindfulness practices, of course. I'm just saying we do a little bit of this and that because I need to entertain you somehow. Otherwise, well, and also what is life without sharing with our lovely 5D collective? Hey, did you see what 4D is doing today? I actually was able to gather a golden nugget from this and this and this. So I think that over here, when we put these puzzle pieces together, we can actually build something for that. And in the meantime, they're going to actually allow us to continue to remember what year it was when they, like the past. It's really helpful, because otherwise we'd lose that, and then we'd replicate something that we don't want to replicate. We really do like, for every time period, to be able and be alive, not just, in books, like actual... Yeah, I know, right? Okay, so I, Maria, am like a self-help book, but a live one, haha. And as a mentor, content creator, and podcast host, let me read to you, I help people find/understand happiness for what it is. So when people say, you can't always be happy, why are you looking for happiness, seeking happiness, I get the gist of it, I got it. They don't know the ventral energy yet. They don't know the whole self yet. So happiness for what it is. Fulfillment thanks to well-being, with your body and your mind and your brain aligned, okay? Good stress, the ventral energy, you learning how to use your human makeup. Healthy self-worth relationships, that's all functional inner child adults with a Terriel or Patrichan. Basically, we all are ourselves, not with child parts being projected, no self-righteous stuff in a low frequency, okay? And resiliency in love frequency with restorative embodiment in the forefront. All of which, in case you don't know, stem from leading with your true self, which is different, by the way, than the narrative self, which is what those who will stay with their narrative, which is why they dismantle other people's narratives, and then they go and keep on talking about Lucifer and evil and Knievel and medieval. So they create groups, okay? It's not about us using stories. It's that they create groups, and then they close themselves off to groups. It's not interesting, that's all. So fear is shame, guilt, blame, fault, revenge, because they're not all inclusive in a way of let's be curious. They're upset at differences because they are afraid of losing their image, losing qualities. You're a person, you can't lose qualities. So the rigidity of a cognitive dissonance, though structurally dissociated brain doesn't understand that. So they still think it's a year that is no longer, okay? So when I was in high school, I saw it. We were the mutt group, and everybody else said they wanted to be different, but they weren't. They all just hung out with the same exact 5 lists of interests, all of it. You're just copycats of each other. You're just pretending to be welcoming. So welcoming means that I can discern wise, good judgment, have equanimity, calm-centeredness, and love, because that is what God is. Thank you, God. The book, The Ways to God, I'm a co-author. The chapter's titled that, and my Christian Catholic catechist didn't teach me any of fear-mongering chit-chat. So I know God, Jesus, Holy Spirit, and those who think anything is controversial are in the left brain alone, thinking that picking at words makes you more right than another. Stop, philosopher, as we're all philosophers. Because if you want data, I'm going to get quantitative data for you, and I'm going to know exactly how to sift through it. That's what a smart brain knows. So I'm not going to make a big deal out of philosophers. I'm a philosopher right now. Subjective opinions. No one's the authority of anyone. If you're a functional child adult, I'm showing you what it looks like when a human being what oh, you think the roses are red? Cool. You think it's blue? Sure. I don't give a shit. No, it's because of me there's flat earthers. No, it's not because of me. It's because science continues to ask questions, but actually it's because the flat earthers decided that they want to be different in the most amazing of ways. Wow, I'm so amazed. Again, I'm not amazed. It's ridiculous. Whenever I see YouTube, I'm just thinking, how many different Jungle Boy monkeys do we have at this point? Because they all are beginning to sound the same, like my high school friends. So you have a group of those who learn, and then you got a group who, I guess they keep the standard of yesterday's news together. I don't know what to tell you, even though, yes, I could tell you, because our human species evolves, and in fact, everything is now in the Dharma frequency, because those who are using the well-being mindset and wellness know exactly what it means to be a true self. And the ones who don't want it, they're the ones who are holding on to a time that was no longer, without recognizing their actual rigidity and their actual buffoonery, which is a self-preserving adaptive child part. It's a losing strategy for them, not for us. And because those of us who are with God, Akash Source, know who wins, it's not a Lucifer evil battlefield. There's no villains in this story. The only ones who need a villain are the ones who need to be motivated to think that they're needed, because they're still saving themselves, because they're still afraid of losing their position, which is why they lead with shame and fear, and a low frequency of self-righteous energy, which is somebody who's just afraid, and afraid I don't want to shame fears. I can be afraid too. Difference is I'm only afraid of dark matter, dark energy, please don't implode. And also some other physical stuff that I'm not going to mention. But God keeps telling me I'm physically safe. And as I'm grounded in reality, I say, well, I hope I don't die because I really, really want to see tomorrow. And then after tomorrow, and I'm 45, and I hope that I live till like, I don't know, 1,000, 2,000. Let me see if I can find, there's a recent quote from Sadhguru, and I want to read to you. But anyone who's mindfully living will know all about how you don't have all the time in the world, which is why you don't wait for someone or something. I can die literally this instant while I'm recording. It is the saddest thing that people don't realize when they have not yet become their true self. Always do the best you can for whoever is around you. That's what I do every day, even if it's 1 episode or 3 episodes. I, Maria, leave behind something because I know what I'm sharing, and that's what everybody else does. But the difference is, are you doing it, like Sadhguru points out, for everyone's well-being, or are you doing it based on what served you, what helped you, and what you think will help others? Which, again, the fearful ones, they like that. They like that you give them all the answers, and then they want to hang out with you, and that's why there's a shared frequency, and it's a small one, but that's why we all count. Everyone makes a difference, even the ones who think they don't. And even when people are assholes enough to think that no, they don't, you are not God. Do not play God. Those of us who are spiritual, those who are sciences, can tell you all about being determined. And then those who want to play with their idea of thinking that they are yeah, I'm gonna leave it alone. Anyone who thinks that they can make a decision for all 8 billion people is a buffoon. Where's my lovely John Amaichi? Only a fool believes that success achieved alone is real. Furthermore, they're so egoic that they're actually going to think, and I haven't met people who are like this unless they're actually blinded by their egos, and I see them from afar. I don't have them near me, but anytime I would meet a brilliant buffoon, they're not brilliant, I would nod my head so that I can get out of that room, because definitely I would not want to be around them. So you do the best you can, because tomorrow either they may be gone or you may be gone. And so the part about what people do with every day, it does count. And the wealthiest thing you can do is to build a mindset that leads you to wellness. So your body's in connection, you got an integrated brain, you have a sense of self, and you own it, and you're a true self. So you are the true self, self-led, mind, brain, body in connection, the ventral vagal state, an open heart, and knowing that no one is the lead authority of you. We build knowledge together, and the research is very valuable for us. But that we do coexist with different people from different walks of life, and a world that is in constant change. And not all people are believers of Akash, source, consciousness, God, infinity, and beyond, and some are secular and they don't have to believe it. Nobody has to be a believer. They also don't disprove faith for any of us. So I get to walk with the lovely IHP community, paid and free subscribers here, on this journey called life with difficulties. They're not really difficulties to me now, but I can understand difficulties that I got out of college. I began my career, okay? And so these difficulties, starting with the one where we have been somewhat blinded to seeing and finding who we truly are. Somewhat. Everybody has a different story to that. I highlight, so highlighting in our lovely conversations that are self-led with our 5D collective, that it's not that life does this because of mean intentions. God is not mean. Source is not mean. See, I'm still a child. Nothing that life sends you is mean. It's the system and structure humanity has formed in order to evolve. Unless you're a dumb idiot or a teenager who's trying to say, I want to break the system. I'm all in favor of personally anarchy, because I already know what humanity is capable of. The ones who are afraid of humanity, it's because they think that they're capable only of shitty shit things. They don't understand who lives the longest. It's not the ones who do shitty shit things. And actually shitty shit people are on the low emotional intelligence scale. That's including the self-righteous mystics who think they're awesome. Anyone who is in low frequency is treating their body like shit by the minute. I'm not, because I'm in my ventral energy and I'm in my VVS, ventral vagal state. So I get to support individuals, help them to see that our constraints and blindfolds, the ones that lead to unhappiness, derive from setting our standards on others, setting our goals on what we have been taught is who we should be and what we should be. That's all that societal stuff, the psychological, societal, existential. But once you set yourself up for success by nurturing the wealthiest thing you can build, mindset and wellness through a body in connection, the inner growth mindset applied, there's no turning back. But your body has to be in your capacity to shift it to your ventral vagal state. Otherwise, you're just lying to yourself. You need to notice that. And so once you're set up for success, now it's all about having the opportunity to use mindful mindset, those for paid and free subscribers, for personal development, spiritual growth, your soul's purpose, and increased resiliency as well as well-being in your day-to-day, and oh, by the way, on ascension days, because that is amazing. So we have a new moon, 24, and 25 is the one day without time or something like that. So I will try to remember to get a reading or an episode, free and or paid, I don't know yet. When you grow familiar with your inner growth, mindful mindset, communication skills, you grow familiar with all of you from an empowered and harmonious self, heart, body, mind, and connection. So that's anchored in the ventral energy. This consistent state of love and high frequency also extends to others thanks to your choice to be anchored in ventral energy, nurture an intelligent mind, and grow emotionally mature, but furthermore because we're all nervous systems. So you will send out that to our globe. As Tara Brock pointed out in one of the summits that I went to where she's speaking, and it was, I think, shortly after COVID, and her and Stephen Porges shared how in that moment and in that time, and I remember because as a mystic, I perceived my oversoul, the entire earth, and for years and years I've been perceiving it, and that was probably one of the most sensitive years. And when I saw the summit, I'm like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me, because I can definitely pick up on a bunch of energy. And so luckily, because the therapists are helping people to learn to navigate their embodied brain, we have people who now know how to expand their window of tolerance to win a welcome to emotions. And I know about my insula growing because, thank you, Dr. Dan Siegel, when your brain is integrated, your insula is lit up. And that's because I'm using my prefrontal. While those who use their amygdala, the dark sides of neuroplasticity, alert, because their body's in protection, they enlarge their amygdala. Neuroscientists will explain it. So it's not a species, the reptilian species. No, it's that people who are modulated embodiment. So they're not health, they're distress, like the fancy lady and man in suit that I make fun of. They have shame, blame, fault, revenge, guilt, and all that low self-esteem, self-righteous bit. They don't have a body that is in protection, in connection, They have a body that's in protection, and they are performing. They're not their true self. In fact, they'll use the word you need to perform. They will think that you not looking at someone erodes their confidence, that someone might think of you when you don't text them back. No, inner growth mindset. Hello, why would I spend any time? I'm going to die tomorrow thinking of a coward. I might be upset. Yeah, I'll process that. I'll process it and I'll forgive, because the past doesn't return. What is past cannot be fixed, and as I like to share, but it can be processed, welcomed with growth, and forgiven for reintegration in one's own timing, because everything that will have taken place will have meant something significant to all of us. The beauty of using the inner growth mindful mindset, communication skills, and practices, and choosing that lifestyle of wellness and well-being is that what is present now only can be experienced. That's the mindfully living, prefrontal. And then what is future, what is next, can be created. I'm paraphrasing some of Sadhguru's quote for today. But the past that takes place, we're always expanding. So nobody loses a part of their self. Although if you tune into past episodes, there's a lot of different ways that I tell you aspects that this mystic in the Enlightenment Soul Age group will have experienced, but it's because of the absence of having all of that, which instead now I have, which is the attachment trauma education, which is good for the 5D collective of mystic, spiritual, mindfully living, loving people. Because believe me, if there's one thing I could tell myself, not as a teenager is pretty great and very easy. If there's one thing I could tell myself when I began having the mystic stuff with all my oversoul, is get attachment trauma educated now. Although I had already had a basic foundation. I remember, this is an explicit memory. I'm a teenager and I'm watching a lot of different types of interesting documentaries. This one showed me children, and it showed me what I today relearned in attachment trauma education. And I remember there's a child in the middle of a kitchen, That's the explicit memory. Then there's another one, but I'll share this one and then we'll go for now. And he's crying, and the narrator is saying this is what happens to a child who has drug addict or alcoholic parents and is getting abandoned and disregarded, basically. And at a certain point, he will stop crying because his emotional body will have to disconnect because nobody's coming. And that is where the avoidant comes in, and that's not healthy. Avoidant will have terror and feeling. And the only way for this to be overcome is for them to go to one, good therapy, and then get securely attached category. Just so you know, you can get it earned. And when you see an avoidant say, I'm an avoidant, I decided because you're picking on us that I'm going to talk about us. Oh, and I stopped going to therapy because they said I was doing a good job and I don't want to do mindfulness and journaling. Why should I? Everyone's fucked up. That just means you don't want to get your body better. You decided that your mindset is beautifully successful. And I'm thinking, wait, you're to a T not caring about your health, which is indicative of shame. Because your 0-1-year-old knows it's defective, which isn't true, which is why, as Patrick Tian points out, self-righteous childhood pain is not a healthy energy. It's one that means I was passed down contempt and self-righteousness, and that I am not kind or worthy, and so intimacy and kindness are not present, which is why a person who wants to flaunt around that they don't feel things or that they are good, but then they have a very cold streak to them and not knowing how to forgive, tells me that you want Patrick Tian, because he is working with childhood trauma survivors, and he says you don't have to forgive anyone, because that's the part of why I said you process it in your own timing, the pain. So anything that's taken place in difficult moments, you will have the opportunity. Anger comes up, fear comes up, sadness comes up, the three main subcortical areas, and you process it with an open heart, which means the inner growth mindful mindset practices, the skills are for you to get to neutrality and duality, the advanced place of the inner growth program, but that's because you choose it. So once you are a 5D collective member, again, this is words that I use, but the 5D has been here for a while. It's integrated brains, restorative, embodied, self-aware, accountable, regulating people. They are overflowing in their humanity. They know emotionally immature people, they only want love, not work. And we don't need to make them work. We just won't allow them to get away with their unhealthy boundaries. And it won't be, I'm a healer, how dare you trauma dump? No, it will simply be for those who you can interact with and set good conversation, that. For those who you didn't want to be friends with at all, I'm going to deserve to be deluded, you reiterate the same thing, and that's how it works. And so 5D collective, they're harmoniously happy with all differences. We do know we're not in the best places, but that's only because we're going through a lot of changes. And so with that, the 5D, they're the ones who share the wisdom. We all diffuse conflict and we provide clarity in one way, shape, or form, different voices. But the part is we also share the understanding and we share the integrated knowledge. So wisdom is unnecessary, meaning futile, if you don't actually have the capacity to hear more. But then here's the part of where you get to still choose. Do I want to choose love and the frequency of love and pure enlightenment, happiness, joy, fulfillment, and know that I'm learning how to use my integrated brain in the muscle? Or am I going to say, I want this, I want it now? And there you go. And there's shame, fear, suffering in a way that is emotionally immature. It's not really bad deal. So 3D, 4D, going to stick around. They have plenty of stories for us. Besides them going around dismantling stories, they also like to create new stories. So we got like the fourth wave of twin flames. Then we got, new 144,000 every now and then coming out of nowhere. No, they come out of the same books that, I haven't read all of them. So it's fun. It'll be fun. In the meantime, I'm going to let you go. We might have some lives. I will keep you posted on that. Thanks for stopping by. Become a paid subscriber. If you do use daily life and through Ascension Energies mindful mindset practices and you want more, because it's not only those, but there's 3 types: exercises, readings, and spotlights. We will also be adding, over time, for the Inner Growth Mindset main modules. They're for free, and they're on the main website, inspiringhumanpotential.com, for all 3 levels. The beginners is on Udemy, but it might be invisible for now. One-to-one mentorship, you email me. Masterclass sign-up, you email me. And workshop retreats also. In fact, if any of you are in the Naples, Italy area around September-ish, as soon as I found out what the dates are for, it's a type of retreat, yoga retreat, that should be off of the coast on an island, Ischia. I'll let you know, but you can inquire, and that way I can know who to write to if you're curious about it, where we're going to have a group inner growth mindful mindset practice, and then for the second day we're going to use tarot, I will, to support with further guidance for whatever came up with the group activity. And it's always nice to be able to do group and individual, and to also get to be together and use the spiritual toolkits, because that's what's successful about personal development, spiritual growth. For those who use well-being and wellness mindset, is that we consistently expand the self. So decentralizing of the self doesn't have a bad end game when you have a body in connection, and you know that narratives are not needing to be dismantled, that nobody is your authority, and that we keep building information. Scientists do. I'm woo pseudoscience, but I'm not pseudo-intellectual. When we meet pseudo-intellectuals and those who are also other types of pseudoscience, we all provide someone with something. So at the end of the day, nobody is needed for our lovely earth to keep moving forward, and nobody's needed for anybody to get into their well-being, but we are an example for each other. At least those who do love, those who do shame are examples for those who want to stay in shame and fear. And then they get to hang out, and we get to, well, Diego's family from Ice Age, they have a good time all by themselves. So again, anyways, like, share, and subscribe, and share with anybody else you know who loves to be their true self and is part of our lovely 5D collective and the wave that has been here for some time. And mystic, spiritual, mindful, that means secular sciences. Come on, it's okay. You can call us woo-woo, pseudoscience, all you want. Come have fun with us, though, because it's always nice to have a variety. Have a good one.